Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Bhagavad-Gita as it is, 4th chapter, chapter 4, text number 20, page number 219. Jagva karma palanganam nitya tripto nirasa karmani abhipravito api naiva kichad karati saha. Word for word. Jagva, having given up. Karma pala asangam, attachment for fruitive results. Nitya, always. Tripta, being satisfied. Rasaya, without any shelter. Karmani, inactivity. Pravritaha, being fully engaged. Api, in spite of. Na, does not. Eva, certainly. Kinchit, anything. Karoto, do. Saha, he. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he forms no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertaking. Purport. This is freedom from bondage of action. This freedom from the bondage of actions is possible only in Krishna consciousness, when one is doing everything for Krishna. A Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he has no attraction for the results of the action. He is not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. Nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad, as is as though he is not doing anything. This is the sign of akarma, and actions without fruitive reaction. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness, is binding upon the worker. That is the real aspect of vikarma, as explained herein before. Omar Yananturam Dasya Jana Jana Sakaya Damzena Tasme Shri Gurve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Grama. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Translation once again. Abandoning all attachments to the results of activities, ever satisfied and independent, forms no fruit of action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. So this chapter is called Transcendental Knowledge. And this is the summary of this chapter. Transcendental knowledge, the spiritual knowledge of the soul, of God, and their relationship, is both purifying and liberating. Thus knowledge is the fruit of selfless devotional action, karma yoga. Lord explains the remote history of the Gita, the purpose and significance of his periodic descent to the material world, and the necessity of approaching a guru, a realized teacher. So this is the section, is verses 16 to 24, is dealing with karma yoga. The definition of karma yoga, the path of God realization through dedicating the fruits of one's work to God. And the definition of vikarma is work performed against spiritual directions, sinful action. So we call karmi one who engages in a materialist is actually a vikarmi, because he's acting against the injunction of the scriptures. So text number 16, this is dealing with a devotee. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action, what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what is action, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misgivings. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what is action and what forbidden action is and what inaction is. One who understands is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor of desire for sense gratification, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by the sages to be a worker, for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence, perfectly controlled, giving up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts for only the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reaction. He who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, nor who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing action. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature, is fully situated in transcendental knowledge, merges entirely into transcendence. The person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom, because his full contribution to spiritual activities, which the consummation of absolute and that which is offered is the same spiritual nature. So that's the section 16 to 24. Now this verse is dealing with the sadhaka. A sadhaka is a person who is endeavoring for perfection. He may not, he's trying to realize that he's not this body, Atma, and in the future hopefully he'll realize he's not this body, and he does not depend on others. And Arukshu, he's aspiring for the goal. So, sadhaka, one who's engaged in Krishna consciousness, only accepts the bare necessities of life. It's compared to a machine. The body's like a machine. You have to oil the machine, you have to clean the machine to keep it running nicely. So in the same way, the devotees only accept the bare necessities of life. So we only eat Krishna prasadam, we only sleep as much as necessary. We only do things that are favorable to the execution of Krishna consciousness. Karma sama karma va moksha karma dharati tivrena bhakti-yoga. So in all circumstances, whether one is free from karma or still has material desires, everything should be done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this is perfect knowledge. Knowledge means to know the difference between matter and spirit and the controller of both. This is real knowledge. And so, they have so many universities, schools all over the world that are giving people knowledge, but they're only giving knowledge about how to get some material benefit, get some training to have sense gratification. But there's no department which teaches people that we're not this body, that teaches people that we're a spirit soul. So anyone who doesn't understand this is in the mode of ignorance. So you have to come to the mode of goodness. Bhagavad-Gita says, foolish living entities who cannot understand how he accepts this body or how he quits this body. But those who have eyes of knowledge can see all this. Eyes of knowledge means jnana chakshush. So we have eyes of knowledge, means you see through the spiritual master, you see through the scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is our eyes. The spiritual master, he's the via media. And he's like the glasses. When you can't see properly, you have to wear glasses. So the glasses, spiritual masters are glasses. He's seeing for us through his teachings, through his instructions, how to become Krishna conscious. Otherwise, Devidu Sarakatimi Vishnu, the real goal of life, is to go back home, back to Godhead, not to remain in the material world, remain in the mode of ignorance. But most people in this world, they don't know that. So they're working very hard day and night to maintain this misconception of I and mine. I and mine, hamameti. So here it talks about a person who is free from that conception and does everything for Krishna. Holy Jagannath Das Babaji, his disappearance was a few days ago. No, what was it? It was someone else. Babaji.
Bamsidas?
Yeah. Bamsidas Babaji. He lived in a hut. He never locked his door. He depended on Krishna. Everything, only accepted bare necessities of life. Only wore kalpans. Very austere, simple person. But yet he was a recognized as a Nityasiddha or a Maha-Bhagavat, the first pure devotee of the Lord. So devotees are not concerned about acquiring so many things in this world. The baby, when you come in this world, you have nothing. At the time of death, you can't take anything with you. So what is the purpose? What is the point of working? People working so hard day and night to acquire so many things. But the end result is it'll all be taken away at the time of death. And they have their family members, their bank balance. Family members are called the fallible soldiers. They will not save anyone at the time of death. And your bank balance, that will not save you at the time of death. And the doctors cannot save you. Prahlad Maharaj says, the best of doctors cannot save the patient. The parents cannot protect the child. And a man drowning in the ocean cannot be saved by a boat. Rakhi Krishna Mari Ke, Mari Krishna Rakhi Ke. Krishna wants you to die, no one can save you. Krishna wants you to live, no one can kill you. So, we're not the devotee understands that he doesn't have to endeavor to accept more than the bare necessities of life. Ishavasham idam sarvam. And Ishupanishad says, one should only take that which is his quota. You know, Sudama Brahman was very poor. Sudama Brahman was a friend of Krishna in their childhood. But then he got married. But he simply depended on Krishna. He was living very poorly. He never asked anybody for anything. So he was not even getting sufficient food. So his wife was worried about him. So she told him, "You go and see your friend Lord Krishna." So Sudama Brahman didn't want to ask Krishna for anything, but he took the opportunity to get the darshan of the Lord. And so he got the darshan of the Lord, and then he went back to his village, and because Krishna was pleased with him, he got more opulence than the king of heaven. And his wife's body was transformed into a beautiful lady. His body was transformed into a beautiful man, and he had more opulence than the king of heaven. But Krishna gave him all this because Krishna knew that he would not misuse it. Generally, when a devotee inherits a lot of money, he forgets about Krishna consciousness. So Krishna doesn't give opulence to if a devotee is going to misuse it. So the Dhamma Brahman got this opulence, but he was a pure devotee of Krishna, so he was not attached to anything. So this devotee is talking about a devotee who is free from the bondage of material reaction. A Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and therefore has no attraction for the results of action. He's not even attached to his personal maintenance. You know, Madhavendra Puri would never ask anybody for any food. Prasadam, whoever came on his own accord, he accepted that. Otherwise he would fast. But he was a special case. We have to practice Krishna consciousness, and we should not neglect our body, but we should only accept what is necessary to keep body and soul together, so we can go on with Krishna consciousness. But also there are special days like Ekadashi, Janmashtami, where we do fast for a short period, which is not harmful and which is beneficial. So it's recommended. We do what is recommended. When one becomes a devotee, he does what he would not ordinarily do. If one is not a devotee, not a devotee, he will do things that he's not supposed to do. But when one becomes a devotee, he'll do things that he's not, doesn't want to do, but because it's the order of the spiritual master. So, a pure devotee, he's acting out of love for God. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, Namo Mahavindaya, Krishna Prema Padayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, Mahagurta, Sevina Maha. He's the most munificent, magnanimous incarnation of Lord, because he came to give pure prema bhakti, which no other incarnation gives. This is a special concession in Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, and we see how degraded. The Kali Yuga lasted 432,000 years. After the first 5,000 years, since the Bhagavad-Gita was spoken, since the Sukadeva Goswami spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit, the Kali Yuga is progressing very fast. So it says in the 12th canto, it gives the different qualities that people, different things people will do in Kali Yuga. That men will keep long hair, think themselves very beautiful. The marriage will just be, people will just live together based on agreement. So many things people are doing nowadays. So people don't have any idea about spiritual life or spiritual knowledge. And it's very difficult to preach to people about spiritual knowledge because people have been trained from the very beginning of life that sense gratification was the only goal of life. And to fill your belly, people will think their perfection is to fill their belly and satisfy the genitals. So there's so many restaurants, so many nightclubs, so many places where people can do that. But that's not any benefit to the spirit soul. And we see now, since India decided they wanted economic development, there's Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, liberation. So, as India has the trying to improve their economic situation, the people are also suffering because now everyone has fast food and fast cars and so many things, and everyone's becoming very, very fat in this country. Before, 20 years ago, you never saw a fat person, rarely. Now people are becoming so fat. Every day we do kirtan, 4 o'clock, so many people are so fat because they eat so much junk food, everything's so available nowadays. And now they have big cars. Before there was only one kind of car, that was the ambassador. And Prabhupada was on a morning walk, he went back to the car to go to the temple. They couldn't start the car. They couldn't figure out what was wrong because there was only one kind of car, so all cars looked alike. They got in the wrong car. So the real owner came to the car with the key and drove Prabhupada back to the temple. But it's not like that nowadays. There's so many kinds of cars, so many kinds of bicycles, so many kinds of cell phones, so many things that have been invented and introduced in India that wasn't there before. It was easy for people to live a simple life in Vrindavan. Now it's much harder. And the Kali Yuga is progressing much faster, even in the Dham. So people don't know what is being described here, the karma, that they're under the control of their karma. Karma means action. For every karma, there's equal opposite reaction. So, Imam Rajaso Vudu, his Bhagavad-Gita was spoken to saintly kings, but the saintly kings are not there anymore. That was before Kali Yuga. The kings were saintly. We hear about Maharaj Prithu, Maharaj Yudhisthira, Maharaj Ambarish, all in Bhagavatam, saintly kings who ruled the people for the welfare of the people and were devotees of the Lord. But gradually as Kali Yuga progressed, the kings became selfish, despotic, cruel people. So when Alexander the Great went all over the world conquering all different kingdoms. So he arrested one thief, and the thief, Alexander the Great asked him, "How do you plead?" He said, "Well, I'm a small thief and you're a big thief, so what's the difference between me and you?" So he let him go. So that's what happened. The kings became greedy instead of interested in the welfare of the people, only interested in their own sense gratification. So that was abolished, and then dictatorship was introduced, and that also was ruled. People were ruled by dictators who were cruel and envious, cruel and very bad. So now they've introduced this democracy. Prabhupada called it demon crazy. So this is also not an ideal situation, because the government leaders are just in simply taking taxes from the people and giving trouble to the people for their own sense gratification. They can make so many promises so they can get elected, but then they don't fulfill their promises and can't really help anyone. So it says that Dainosmin yatade kumram yovanam jurat tatadam prapaptir tirasata namuyate, from boyhood to youth to old age. One is constantly changing his body. Dirasata namuyate, the sober-minded person is not disturbed by such a thing. So this is what has to be understood. Aham brahmasmi, that I'm not this body, not aham mameti, that I'm a spirit soul, and as a spirit soul, I should try to become Krishna conscious, to develop our love for Krishna. This is the what is purpose of Bhagavad-Gita. The purpose of the Krishna conscious movement. They asked Srila Prabhupada when he went to America. They asked him why he came to America to introduce a new religion. The Prabhupada said, "I didn't come here to introduce a new religion. I came here to teach people how to love God. Because other religions, they are the Kaitava Dharma, described in the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kaitava Dharma. That the other religions are cheating religions. Whether you're a Christian or Jewish or Muslim, they have their scriptures, they have their rituals, but they're not teaching people how to love God, because they don't know who God is or how to love Him. They even put that on the dollar bill. They write, "In God we trust." but they don't know who God is or how to trust in God. So Krishna consciousness movement, it says here that this is the only way to get free from bondage of the material world is by a Krishna conscious person who acts out of pure love for Krishna. He's the only one can get free from this bondage. When the spirit soul is not Krishna desire that we come to the material world. Krishna makes the whole creation Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna is the cause of all causes. But the living entity is given independence. So at one point in time, we had choice to either serve Krishna or come in the material world and try to enjoy like Krishna. So the material world is like that. And the Durga, she's in charge of the material world. Durga means fort, and she keeps everyone in prison in the material world. So we have our free will. So we can't blame Krishna for our suffering. And so if we want to stay in the material world, then the Mahamaya, it's her job to keep everyone in the material world. But if someone wants to get out of the material world, then she'll help you to serve Krishna. If you want to disturb Krishna, then she'll keep you in the material world. If you want to serve Krishna, then she'll help you to get out of the material world. So generally, this is not understood by any philosopher or scientist, that this material world is not a nice place, to Kayalam Ashasvatam, place of misery and suffering, where repeated birth and death take place. So, scientists, no one knows that, will admit that they're suffering. But why there's so many hospitals, why there's so many medical stops, so many doctors, if people aren't suffering? People won't admit they're suffering. Even if they're suffering, they'll say, I'm all right. But devotees know that we're suffering, but it's different. For a devotee, he said, Nete nukampam shashukshamano. He accepts it as Krishna's mercy, that I have to suffer for my karma, but he's always hoping against hope that someday he'll get the mercy of Krishna and become Krishna conscious. So in this way, there's the material nature. Ajamil was 88 years old, and he had 10 sons. The last son he named Narayan. So the time of death came, and the Yamadutas came to take him to Yamaraj to be judged for his sinful activities. And formerly, even in his youth, he was a Brahmin, and he followed strictly mystical culture. But somehow or other, he fell down, he became attracted to a prostitute, and most of his life he spent doing sinful activities. But by the mercy of Krishna, his last son, he named Narayan. So at the time of death, he called out to his son, Narayan. And because he did that, he chanted Namabhas. He wasn't pure Shuddhanam, but he chanted out of anxiety. He chanted calling his son. So the Yamadutas came to arrest him, but then the Vishnudutas came and said, now, you can't take this man because he's sinless. He chanted the name of our master, Narayan, and so he's no longer responsible for his sinful activities. But actually, it says in Chaitanya Bhagavat when he called the name of, first he was calling the name of his son, but then he actually remembered Narayan from his childhood. So therefore, the Yamadutas, they couldn't take him to Yamaraj. But because he only chanted Namabhas, he had to go back in his body and give up all attachments, went to Hardwar, performed devotional service, then he went back to Godhead. So, Krishna conscious person, here it says he does everything for Krishna. We have the example when Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto, he met the Python man. The Python man is one man who was just staying in one place. And he was just depending on Krishna, whatever came his way, he accepted. If people brought him food, he ate. If people didn't bring him food, he didn't eat. People brought him clothes, he wore clothes. If he didn't get any clothes, he didn't wear any clothes. He had a nice bed, he slept on that. Or if he didn't have a bed, he slept on the ground. But in all cases, he was detached from the material happiness, distress, pain, pleasure, all these things. Also in the 11th canto, we hear about the Avanti Brahmin. There was one Brahmin who was very cruel and very miserly in his family life. Then his family, he couldn't make any money anymore. His family rejected him, and so this renunciation came in his heart. So he decided to take sannyas. So as a sannyasi, he traveled alone, and whatever happened to him, he remained silent. Sometimes people would beat him, sometimes they'd tie him up, sometimes they'd pass water on this prasadam, sometimes they did all kinds of bad things to him. But he just accepted it as the will of Providence. He didn't protest, didn't say anything. It's like Jad Bharat. King Bharat became Jad Bharat, and he was a avadut. He was silent. Everyone thought he was a dull, dumb man. And whatever came his way, he accepted. And his father tried to train him how to be a Brahmin, but he couldn't follow. He would tell him you have to wash your hands after you answer the call of nature. So he'd wash his hands first. And in this way, his father became disgusted and hopeless that he couldn't train Jad Bharat, so he left home. And the sons, his brothers, they also treated him like a dull, dumb man and would put him out in the field as a scarecrow to keep away the wild animals. And whatever was left over on the bottom of the pot, the burnt rice or whatever it was, they'd give to him. But he never protested. So one day some Kali worshippers were looking for a man to be sacrificed to goddess Kali. This is going on even today, sacrificing men or animals to the goddess Kali to get some material benefit. So they took Jad Bharat to sacrifice him to goddess Kali. So he didn't protest. They took him, they put him clean clothes on him, gave him a bath. While he was still wet, they were going to cut off his head in front of the goddess Kali, the Murti, the deity form of goddess Kali. But she knew that he was a pure devotee of Krishna, so she couldn't tolerate that. So she came out of the deity with a sword, and she started to, she took the sword that they were going to use to kill Jad Bharat, to kill all his worshippers, Kali worshippers. So in this way, exemplary people there's so many examples of people who were not attached to the material world, who did what was being explained here, but they had no karma. They were free from their karma. So devotees in this movement, the Krishna consciousness movement, the sadhakas, those who are endeavoring for perfection, we live a very simple life. We dress very simple, and our activities may seem the same as other people. We're cooking in the kitchen, we're cleaning the temple, we're sleeping at night, we're doing so many same things that other people are doing. But it's not the same thing, although it appears to be the same. Because Guru Krishna, at the time of initiation, the Guru takes one's karma and gives you that bhakti lata beach. So in this chapter it says, Tad vidi paripatena paripasena sevaya upajagyanti tyagyana skyanastapa darshanaha. That one should accept his spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, render service unto him. He can impart knowledge unto you because he's seen the truth. So when one takes initiation, then your karma stops. So the Guru takes the karma of his disciple. So that whatever we do after initiation, then we're not incurring any new karma, as long as we're following 4 regulated principles: no meeting, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, chanting 16 rounds every day, then we're not incurring any karma. So our activities may look the same as the other people, but whatever they do, they get a reaction. So whether you're walking on the street, whether you're cooking in the kitchen, whatever you're doing, you're killing living entities, you have to suffer reaction. But devotees, there's no reaction. Devotees go on Sankirtan, travel in vehicles, walk on the street, everything we do for Krishna's service, for Krishna's pleasure. So there's no karma involved. Even in Vrindavan, the holy Dham, the free will, everyone still has free will in the Dham. So Prabhupada made this live membership program, and he said people could stay free in the guest house for 3 days, because live members, are not following any sadhana. They may be sinful people, so better they only visit Vrindavan take short visits to the holy Dham till they understand how to practice Krishna consciousness, how to do their bhajan, how to give up sinful activities. Because one stays for more than 3 days, is liable to commit sinful activities again. Because in the Dham, whatever you do in the Dham is multiplied 100 times. If you perform devotional service, you get 100 times the benefit. If you perform simple activities, you get 100 times the reaction. But it's different. In the Dham, it's Krishna karma. It's not Yamaraj. The people in the Dham, you don't go to Yamaraj. But Krishna judges what your next life will be. So if someone is sinful, especially if someone has illicit sex in the Dham, then he has to take birth as an animal, a monkey or a dog or a hog. But that's a short life, and the animals don't have any karma. If an animal does something wrong, comes and steals your glasses, or jumps on you, they can't take him to court. The police can't come and arrest him because they don't know right from wrong. It's only in human form of life that we have the intelligence to discriminate between right and wrong. So the animals have no discrimination about right and wrong, so they're not responsible. But they also don't have any karma. So if one takes a short birth as an animal, he's free from all his karma, then he can go back to Godhead after that life. So that's the difference between living in the Dham and living in the rest of the world. The rest of the world, everybody is accountable for their activities, and they have to be judged at the time of death. So if one's a murderer, he should get the death sentence. so that in his next life he won't have to suffer for his crime. But they don't know that, so a lot of countries have did away with capital punishment. They don't give the death sentence. But it's better for the person who is a murderer that he gets the death sentence, so he won't be a murderer again, and so he won't have to suffer in his next life. So Bhagavad-Gita says that the living entity in the material world takes one body after another as the air carries aroma. So he accepts one body after another, and then he gets another gross body, and he gets an eye, ear, nose, tongue, sense and touch, which are grouped about the mind. So according to your karma, you're going from one body to the next, the next, the next. But the spirit soul is that 1/10,000th tip of hair cannot be perceived. It's like the air carrying the aroma. You can't see the aroma. You can only perceive it by the soul. So it's not perceivable how the soul goes from one body to the next body to the next body. But it's the impersonalists say that they want to merge, they want to give up their individuality. But we're always individuals. And so we always have a body, and we always have a form, and some on the 8,400,000 species. So whatever, at the time of death, is we decide what our next body will be. So in this way, one is bound up, hand and foot. If you're bound up in the material world, if someone ties you up with the rope, a very strong rope, then you will not be able to free yourself. So the only way to get free from the bondage of the material world is by taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, a pure devotee of the Lord. By the mercy, Yasha Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Yasha Prasada Narakinta Gopi, Ayam Suvam Sacharya Shishangam, Vande Guroshi Charana Vindam. So without the mercy of pure devotee, one cannot get the mercy of Krishna. So you have to please the pure devotee to get to please Krishna. If Krishna is pleased, devotees pleased, Krishna is pleased. No one can go directly on their own, by their own endeavor. No one can become a devotee of Krishna by his own endeavor. The Guru is the intermediate, he must be there. So one must accept initiation and change his name so that he can make progress in spiritual life. Otherwise, one may want to become a doctor. He can read all the books on medical science, but without going to school and taking instructions from qualified doctors, he cannot get a degree or actually become a doctor. So that material, but in spiritual life is the same. One must accept a spiritual master. Guru Krishna presided by Bhakti-Lata Beach. So at the time of initiation, that spiritual master, the seed is grown in the heart of the devotee. And by watering that seed, first you have to fence in this seed, the Bhakti-Lata Beach, the small creeper. If you don't fence in the creeper, then some animals will come, monkeys will come and destroy it. So the fencing process is by associating with devotees and following the principles. Then you have to water the creeper, and that's done by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, the 9 processes of devotional service. And Shravanam and Kirtanam are the most important of those processes. So every day we have to chant 16 rounds on the beats of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the beginning of spiritual life. And we make a promise at the time of initiation that we'll do this for our whole life. as much as possible. So that's when the karma is stopped. But one may ask why devotees have to suffer from disease or accidents or so many bad things happen to devotees, because you're not incurring new karma, but when you turn off the fan continues to spin for some time. So you still get your prarabdha karma from previous life. But still, Krishna minimizes the suffering. If I cut my finger, I should know that Krishna minimized my finger. I should have cut off my whole arm. So in this way, the devotees are abandoning all attachments to the results of the activities, ever satisfied, independent, performs no fruitive actions, although engaged in all kinds of undertaking. So devotee, we're not going to run off to some cave, live in the mountains, and take some Mona Vrat to try to imitate Haridas Thakur. But we're active. This is an active movement. This movement, Lord Chaitanya predicted that this movement would be spread in every town and village. So Srila Prabhupada took that message, took that order of his spiritual master, and went to America, went all over the world to make that prediction come true. Prabhupada, Salzer predicted that Prabhupada would open 108 temples at the age of 70. So spreading Krishna consciousness is a spiritual activity, and there's no karma involved, no reaction, but devotees are on the spiritual platform. Therefore, we're doing these things out of love for Krishna, out of love for Prabhupada, and we paramjishvar nivartante. The devotee loses his taste. Material things become pale, stale, and dry by practicing Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we don't go to movies, we don't go to nightclubs, we don't go to bars, we don't watch television. At least we're not supposed to. We don't look at the wrong things on the internet. We only look at Krishna conscious things, and we only accept Krishna conscious prasadam. So if you're sick, you go to the doctor, and he gives the diet, he gives the medicine. The medicine is the chanting the holy name, and the diet is Krishna prasadam. And the spiritual master is the captain. We're in this ocean. Material world is compared to an ocean, and it's very difficult to cross the ocean. But if you get on the boat is the via media to take us across the ocean of material suffering, material miseries. And the captain of the boat is the spiritual master. And the wind that pushes the boat is the Vedic literatures. So we should especially read all of Prabhupada's books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad-Gita, and keep ourselves on the boat so that we'll be able to easily cross over material existence and not have to suffer a reaction to our activities and take birth again and again and suffer again and again. So we are very fortunate that Mahaprabhu came 500 years ago to teach Krishna consciousness, to preach Prema Bhakti, to give us Prema Bhakti, so we can read Chaitanya Charitamrita, read Chaitanya Bhagavat, and appreciate how what a merciful Lord Chaitanya is, and how merciful, how we're getting the mercy of by being in this movement. So people, all walks of life, all over the world, are reading Prabhupada's books, are hearing the kirtan, and are joining our movement. So our movement expanding more and more every day. And people are seeing that they're getting an alternative to the negative way of life, the suffering and the misery that people have to go through in material life. Instead, they're taking the spiritual life, which is Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, giving us bliss. Goloke Premadana Harinam Sankirtana. So this chanting the holy name has not a material sound vibration. It has descended from the material world, and Lord Chaitanya came here to start this Sankirtan movement, the chanting the Maha Mantra, and to deliver all the fallen conditioned souls in this age of Kali Yuga. And this is known the Yuga Dharma, chanting the holy name. And this is the easiest process, so everyone can take to this movement and make their life successful. So let's stop there. Anybody have any comments or questions? Question man's here.
Right. So as you said, we have desire, that's why we come in this material world. And whereas we say we are the part and parcel of the Lord. So we are, when we are the part and parcel of the Lord, then how do we have this material desire to come in this material world?
What's the question?
We are part
It's
and
not
parcel.
working. Microphone's not working. I know, we're part and parcel of the Lord,
Yeah.
but we still have independence. We misuse our independence. You have free will. You can decide whether you want to serve Krishna or whether you don't want to serve Krishna. So we decide not to serve Krishna, so we come in the material world.
One more question. Just like you said, prasadam. Prasadam should be offered to Krishna and then we should have the prasad. But sometimes we are traveling or this one, then how we can offer this prasadam to Lord and take prasad?
What?
Sometimes we are traveling.
Yeah.
If we like to have some prasad, just like fruits or something, then how, when can we offer Lord prasad? The Lord is everywhere. So we can just put there, this is Lord, I am offering to you and I take prasad. So that is prasad or what do you say?
We just offer to picture the Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada, and chant 3 prayers. Then it becomes prasadam. Chant 3 prayers 3 times. Prabhupada Pranam Mantra, Mo Mahavanadaya, go. Those 3 prayers, prasadam prayers. So we offer our prasadam before we take it.
Thank you.
We offer everything. If you can't offer it, you can offer it in your mind. But Prabhupada was riding on the train and they wanted to make a big offering, and Prabhupada said, no, just offer in your mind.
Hare Krishna. While traveling or we are not at home, and when we are purchasing something to eat actually, we must assume that the God is present everywhere and we offer that prasad to God by chanting the mantra actually. So in this way actually that whatever rituals need to come to the prasad we can take.
What's the question?
No, it's repeating the same thing, what you said.
Yeah, the same thing.
What you said.
It's no different.
Yeah.
If you're at home, you offer it to your Guru Maharaj, or if you have deities, you offer to your deities, like that. Then you accept it. We don't just cook and eat, but we offer it first. We offer everything first. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad-Gita ki jai.